What do we bring to relationships and connections? How do we work alongside people? And how do our services and approach feel for people that we work alongside? Rediscovering hope, a sense of community, agency, and working together to solve problems and create spaces to aid recovery. So now I want you to just think and hold in your mind of a time when you were in a difficulty, and what skills and qualities of the people who helped you get through that difficulty mattered the most. What we know is that what helps is curiosity, low shame, positive regard, always walking alongside people, enabling them to recognise their strengths and qualities.
Here in Telford, I think what you're doing, getting parents to be peer supporters, is a tremendous step. It's necessary, but it's not sufficient. Parents need to be involved in pushing the system to change, to have a voice to promote policy change so that the system is designed to meet their needs rather than to punish them, as too often is the case. Parents can be trained to be peer support workers. They can also be trained to be activists and advocates.
So the message to everybody is, you don't need a lot, just start talking. And my pledge is, and it was a little conversation when David was talking to us, is that we talk a lot about advocacy, but I think our next stage now is the activist and the activism. So my pledge is to increase activism within early help across all of our partners, and to have parent activists as well as parent advocates.
Hi, so I'm Laura from the Dandelions group. So we're all part of the Dandelions group who are parents with lived experiences that are trying to help support and promote positive change.
One of the things we do say is every voice matters, but what we mean by that is parents, the carers, the professionals, education and the children's, because we all matter. If we can all work together and build them relationships, the outcome's going to be better for the families.
So a lot of the work is about building relationships, and that is what we like to try and promote. So when we're doing any piece of work, it is all about starting that relationship from the off. And sometimes that can be a challenge, especially when parents have had struggles with services before, and what that might look like as what you see it as might not look how they see it. So it's about understanding from a parent's eyes, but a lot of this work can't be done without other people helping support that work. And I think we've been very lucky in having everyone's support, even today, everyone coming and seeing us and listening to the work that we do, so that we can help this journey grow.
And we're at the very beginning of our journey, which is absolutely fantastic, and we have made some really big changes and moves forward. One of the things I wanted to ask you was numbers of advocates. How many people did you start with? What's those numbers looking like now, and how's that kind of grown for you?
When we started, there was no parent advocates. We funded a research project to find out what rights parents had, where parents have some voice. There was nothing. We funded and supported one parent, a woman named Mabel Paulino, who was a fiery Latina activist. She called together a meeting of parents, and there were probably 25 parents and 25 social workers, and they all got together and talked about the problems in the system, but nobody was trained. Today, there are over 100 trained parent advocates in New York City working in child welfare agencies and initial child safety conferences and law firms. There was a lot of resistance. It was a slow, gradual process. It's sort of like water boiling, and then it happens. It took a long time till agencies were willing to support having parents in their agencies. It's a slow learning process. My experience is that perseverance really matters. When you're working to try to bring about change, you think nothing's going to change. But everybody changes.
So as a practicing peer parent advocate, it was really interesting to hear you say about how the families felt more supported and the social workers felt better. And I'm seeing that myself in Telford, which is fabulous. It's really good.
There's no magic bullet for how to do it. It's respecting their voice and giving them room to participate.
I think a reflection from that is when I started this journey 2 years ago, was I started with my story and my journey of what I'd gone through, and I've been in and out of services, and like reflecting back, everything's changed, like including myself. I've grown as a person, and I think when you've been judged for so many years and now having this opportunity of having a voice and being able to use it to support other people and parents, it just makes it so much more worthwhile. And I think that's what's really helped with what we do.
Jeanette Vega, who's now the executive director of Rise magazine. She had a young child who was hyperactive. She tried to get him diagnosed. She couldn't get a diagnosis. As a hyperactive kid, he ran out of her apartment into the street in great danger, and out of fear, she hit him. She hit him hard, and her mother reported her to protective services. And the child was removed for, I think, 4 years. But there's a profile of this extraordinary woman who, at the time I wrote the book, was just beginning to be a parent advocate. She now runs Rise magazine.
And it's also about system change and how we can look into it, but help support it from a parent side rather than just seeing it as a professional side.
But that being a real positive and being a real opportunity for change and development. And I think to see the way that the service and you as Dandelions have developed over the last 2 years and supported our journey in social care and the work we do to try and promote positive outcomes for families, not just children and young people, but for entire families and whatever that may look like. It really resonates with me then, thinking about your experience, David, of what's happened in New York, and then how we've done that in a really smaller context, but having real meaning here in Telford.
That is, all families have problems. And we have to recognize my family had problems, everybody's family has problems, and that we're all trying to change and do the best we can.
I think it helped with a lot of reflection because I didn't get it right all the time, and that's okay. Professionals can't get it right all the time, and that's okay. I think we need to start looking at our challenges and our mistakes we've overcome as a strength and not a weakness, because any change, admitting that you need to change or admitting them hard truths, shows strength and courage in that person. They will battle. And if they battle, that's who we want on our side, because by doing that, we'll work together and make it better.
Interesting the point you made earlier about the state of New York intervening, looking at how we make some changes to our local court system, and the strength of the work of the Dandelions. There would be no way that we would put forward that proposal without having the Dandelions front and centre and really thinking about their participation and advocacy journey and policy input, and taking that on a more regional basis to really affect and have positive outcomes for when unfortunately we do have to go into court, and that is still, at times a reality. But how can we make that less adversarial and more meaningful so that we can try and keep families safely together?
I think I'm just excited to see how it grows. I'm already seeing positive outcomes for families and how they feel so much more supported, and I really want to see that grow, and I just want to, see the system get better.
My pledge to carry on being a dandelion, to help the families in need and support parents that don't get support.
How a small part of such a big global journey this type of thing is in this movement. And how sort of, even though you can be one person, you can make a huge change, especially when we become part of that, like say, global movement that's now spreading everywhere. I think for my pledge, it will be to always challenge myself to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, to have conversations that aren't necessarily easy, to be in spaces that don't necessarily feel easy for me to be in.
I think my pledge is to continually build relationships, try and build trusting relationships, to walk alongside my families and to get everybody to work more collaboratively together.
I think I'm going to pledge to try and be more confident in having challenging conversations with colleagues so I can spread the dandelion word and make sure that we're all advocating for our parents and families.
Thanks everybody that's come today, because we can talk and we try and we do as much as we can going into forums and speaking, but unless you help us come along this journey and go back to your teams and model how we speak about and with parents, how we value their experience and expertise, how we kind of honour their relationship in children's lives, we won't achieve what we want to achieve.
Thank you very much to David. And who wants to say a few words?
I'd like to make a pledge, which is I came to the UK for the first time 6 years ago and visited Tim and Camden and Clarissa and saw the beginnings of parent advocacy. And now to see it blossom is thrilling. My pledge is that even though I'll be 86, I'll be coming back here in 6 years to see how this has blossomed. I can't wait. I hope I'm alive, but if I am, I'm coming back. Thank you.